This right here is eating away at your brain. You might already have the urge to scroll, and that's how we both know that your mind is getting fucked by the minute.
We are living in a war of attention. I wake up in the morning and I can be a consumer or a creator. If I reach for my phone, I'm a consumer.
I pulled an all-nighter last night and you might be like, oh, what was it for? Like, were you getting a bunch of shit done? Like, what were you having to do to stay up all night to like work on? I was literally glued to my phone. Like, it was like my eyes were just doing this over and over and my thumb was swiping over and over and over. It's like I was sucked into it and I couldn't get out. And I literally like feel like I have such an addiction to TikTok, especially TikTok and Instagram Reels. Like that format can suck me in and suck me in and suck me in.
We are overstimulated, overinformed, and somehow more disconnected than ever. You know exactly what I mean. You open up your phone, scroll for 30 minutes, close the app, and then reopen it 10 seconds later without even thinking. Or even worse, you sit down with a plan to be productive only to realize 2 hours later you've gone down a rabbit hole of headlines, memes, and or strangers' lives. Sometimes you don't even make it that far because someone texted you just 5 minutes into your work session, and when you look up, an hour has already passed. Believe me, you're not alone. I've been there too, and I'm just now starting to realize that it's not just a bad habit, it's a slow erosion of our minds. Now that may sound a bit dramatic, but you could damn near think of it as a decay that most of us will never notice because it honestly feels normal. But in reality, it's not normal. We all know that. We are living through what I like to call the age of brain rot, a time when we consume more information than ever, yet rarely pause long enough to process it. A time when our brains are so overloaded with content that they become bloated with useless noise. Tweets that we can't remember, videos that offer nothing but momentary distraction, headlines designed to spark fear, not thought. And the controller of all this, it's dopamine. The molecule that got Andrew Huberman millions of views drives our motivation, desire, and attention. The very thing that moves us towards goals is being hijacked. Our brains are wired to crave novelty, reward, and progress. But social media and screen time have turned that system against us. Instead of pursuing real goals like starting a project, building a business, deepening relationships, we choose the next hit, the next notification, the next flick of the thumb. And just like that, we find ourselves stuck in a low energy, foggy state, intellectually full, but mentally starved. Some call this brain fog, something that passes eventually after a good night's rest or a much needed vacation. Me, on the other hand, I like to think of it in the way that Gerwinder, who is a prominent online researcher, puts it, as intellectual obesity. And I love the way that he describes it, so I'm just going to read his quote verbatim here. And he says, eventually, the addiction to useless info leads to what I call intellectual obesity. Just as gorging on junk food bloats your body, so does gorging on junk info bloat your mind, filling it with a cacophony of half-remembered gibberish that sidetracks your attention and confuses your senses. So our mind becomes just that, right? Stuffed with half-remembered gibberish, too sluggish to think clearly, and too restless to focus. We're not lacking willpower, we're lacking the drive. We doom scroll because it feels urgent. We click because it feels good, at least for a second, but that cost is cumulative, right? It adds up. Over time, our ability to think deeply, to feel motivated, to act decisively, it weakens. The algorithm wins, and we slowly lose access to our best selves. But here's the twist. The solution isn't as simple as just cutting screen time or deleting apps. That's surface level shit that you've probably already tried already. What I'm interested in is much deeper than that. What if you could rewire your relationship with technology? What if you could use these same tools to fuel your ambition and not erode it? What if social media could actually sharpen your focus and not steal it? Now, I must warn, this isn't a go live off the grid and chant under a waterfall video like you've seen in the past.
I'm a man. I am.
Bruh.
I'm just a regular cat who's noticed that my mind isn't what it used to be, and I want to help others get theirs back. So in this video, I'm exploring just that. The basics of dopamine and how it silently controls your behavior, the symptoms of brain rot and how to spot them, how we've confused consumption with wisdom, and lastly, sound advice on how to break free from the chains of social media and how we can use it to boost our future and win the life that we always wanted. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a conversation about attention, ambition, and the hidden cost of consuming more than we create. Now, before we jump all the way in, I gotta ask you to like, comment, and subscribe. It just helps this community grow. It allows me to keep making videos like this. Now, I also want to let you know that in the description of this video is my website where you can sign up for my newsletter. No spam or anything. It's just these videos in written format, usually released about a day or so in advance. So if you get a chance, head down to the description, enter your email, and you'll get these videos a day or so before everyone else. Without further ado, let's just hop right in. Now, before we can even talk about breaking free from overconsumption and social media addiction, we have to understand understand the biological cause. Now, I'm not going to cap. Your boy is not a scientist and I don't want to pretend like one, but stick with me because this part is important. Now, I found a video from someone that describes it much better than I can, and it helped me wrap my mind around it and really understand what's going on. So let's take a look here.
Our cognitive system is not meant to be stimulated so much in so many different ways in such a short period of time. Overloading our cognitive system, especially when you do it every day, all day, every day, has short-term and long-term adverse effects on our executive functioning abilities like decision-making, problem-solving, critical thinking. They want us addicted because brain rot makes the perfect consumer. Shopping addiction, gambling addiction, social media addiction. In our society, all of those behaviors contribute to the profit of the ruling class. The more we scroll, the more we shop, the more we consume without any critical thought, the poor get poorer and the rich get richer.
Hey, so shout out to Sarah Maria. She's talking that talk and made a lot of valid points, right? Our answer to the question of why does it feel harder than ever to focus? Why do I keep reaching for my phone when I know I shouldn't be? Well, it's exactly what she described, and it can be even dumbed down to just dopamine. Because what we need to understand is that essentially dopamine is your brain's internal motivator. However, it's less about pleasure and more about pursuit. It's what gets you to want something, to feel curious, excited, or hungry for progress. And Andrew Huberman famously calls it the universal currency of the brain. The more dopamine you have available, the more likely you are to chase goals, try new things, or build something meaningful. But here's the part that gets tricky. Social media, short form content especially, and doom scrolling are hijacking that system. Every time you get a like, hear a notification ding, or swipe to something new, you get a little hit of dopamine. To your brain, it feels good, rewarding almost, like you're doing something. But you're not. You're just falling victim to these algorithms that are curated by these mega corporations. And over time, your brain adapts. It starts expecting more stimulation and obviously more dopamine. So guess what? That tweet, it's not enough. That video, too slow. You got to 2x speed that hoe. That article, too long, didn't read. So inevitably, you keep scrolling, you keep switching, you keep stimulating until eventually you hit a point where nothing feels that good anymore. That's the dark side of dopamine. What goes up must come down. Every spike is followed by a drop. And then when you keep spiking dopamine over and over, especially from them cheap, fast rewards, our baseline levels start to fall. Your brain becomes desensitized. And here's a great image kind of depicting this as you have the initial baseline, you hit your peak, have a super mega crash, and then you get that dopamine deficit that returns you back to baseline, but that baseline is actually falling over time. And that's why I have a ton of sympathy for these kids that are iPad kids or Gen Alpha or whatever this new generation is called that are just being born into technology and just given a phone or an iPad and just basically told to go sit in the corner and just marinate off of content. These kids, they're just getting spanked from the jump with social media and brain rot. So feel bad for these young ones coming up. And now the reason why I mention that is because you're going to wake up and feel foggy. You're going to have trouble focusing, and you might have little to no motivation to start anything of value or substance. So as a result, you get bored. And when you get bored, guess what happens? Without even thinking, you open up your phone trying to erase that boredom. Sometimes it works, most times it doesn't, and you just start going into that loop of doom scrolling. But unfortunately, social media doesn't just provide entertainment though. It goes much deeper. You start to lose a bit of reality itself. But what do I mean by that? So let's say something came up in your life, right? An argument, a missed opportunity, a moment of doubt, anything. Instead of facing it or sitting with the discomfort of it, you run to your phone and scroll. All subconsciously. You hop on your feed and instantly get hit with a trending clip, a highlight play, or some wild story that hijacks your attention. The scrolling lends you dopamine in a way that results in you focusing on the present through content rather than on reality. It gives you an emotion of feeling grounded. This can be a good and a bad thing. Good because it's obviously not always a bad thing to be pulled away from a high stressful or an anxious moment in your life. It can feel good to take your mind off of things. I completely understand that. But it does become bad when we don't use this sparingly. What used to be a walk around the neighborhood or a Sunday hike or just shooting the shit with your homies in real life has become a scroll game on the couch. I mean, bro, for example, look at this image right here. People are getting paid for posting hyper dopaminergic clips to social media. Content creators and influencers shell out money to folks so that they can create hours and hours of reels and TikToks because they know there are dopamine dope fiends out there craving this kind of content. People who are just scrolling, waiting for something to pop up that catches attention. So other folks are capitalizing on that attention economy because they know billions of people want to be distracted. And just so you know, these apps are designed with this in mind. Social media platforms, TikTok and Instagram especially, and also Facebook, are engineered to hijack your attention, right? That's the name of the game. That's the game that they're playing. They feed you content so hyper personalized to your every interest that these algorithms almost know you better than you know yourself. These corporations know the more precise and granular that they get, the more willing you are to come back. As soon as you log on, you're being fed exactly what you like. How many times have you been in a situation where you talking to your homie, your lady, boyfriend, whoever it is, your partner, you guys are having a conversation about something, and then 30 minutes, an hour passes by, you hop on your phone, you open up TikTok, and exactly what you were just talking to that person about is on your phone. It's on your screen. That shit be blowing my mind, bro. They're listening at every chance. What used to be, oh, the government's listening and tapped into your phone. Nah, bro, it's TikTok, it's Instagram, it's Meta. They're the ones tapped in. They're the ones listening. They're the ones on the other end of the line trying to find out what new interest or what new hobby you're trying to get into so that they can feed you some kind of content and sell you on some kind of product. So now what starts as entertainment quickly turns into dependence, and dependence is expensive due to the fact that dependence usually causes you to pull away from other aspects of your life. It also gives you dopamine vibes, if I'm keeping it a stack. So guess what? You end up spending your most valuable currency, a combination of your attention, your energy, and your mental clarity on content that gives you nothing in return. No real learning, no depth, no traction, just dopamine and rot. So if you've done this long enough, you start to notice these symptoms. You can't read a full article without jumping to another tab. You forgot what you consumed 5 minutes ago. You can't sit still with your own thoughts without feeling uncomfortable or anxious. You constantly crave stimulation, but nothing really satisfies it. And you might start 5 projects, but finish none of them. And if you feel attacked by this, bro, don't trip. These were all me at some point in my life, and I still be falling into this curse, bro. It's a curse. It's a never ending loop. So don't feel bad. Don't feel like I'm trying to come at you and make you feel bad about some shit that everybody, literally 99% of the population is doing. Okay. This is just trying to illuminate the systems of this brain rot and doom scrolling and the erosion of our minds as we're getting trapped into these mega corporations algorithms. Like, this is just, it is what it is, right? This is the intellectual obesity that we talked about at the beginning of this video. The mind gets clouded with noise, content that rewards your attention in the moment, but robs you of long-term clarity. Now, the scariest part is sometimes overconsumption can feel productive. Like if you watch a couple of video essays or political content or fear-mongering news segments, the latest exploits of Elon Musk, you get the idea, right? Whatever it is. None of that shit actually truly matters in the present if you think about it. Because when you take a step back and look at it from a macro lens, and it took me a long time to make this realization, is that we've started confusing consumption with progress. And that's the trap. You can scroll through those political commentary, philosophical analysis of life videos, hot takes about the economy, maybe even a podcast clip or two on stoicism. And it feels like, oh shit, I'm learning. I'm actually doing something here. Like, I feel fully engaged. But in reality, bro, you're just consuming. You're not actually learning anything because you're just staring at your phone, watching something for the umpteenth time of the day, right? Like, you're not sitting there fully engaged trying to figure out what this person's talking about and really take an analytical look at it. You're just watching. You're just passing time. Like, look at this video right here. Take a look at this video, for example. Tell me what you spot. Tell me what you notice.
What would happen if China invaded the United States right now? Chinese warships appear off the U.S. West Coast. Fighter jets roar overhead as missiles streak toward naval bases in San Diego and Pearl Harbor. Explosions light up the sky. China has launched a full-scale invasion. Chinese troops skydive from...
Now, bro, I'm gonna stop it right there. I can't take too much of that shit. But do you see how crazy that hook grabs your attention? Because who wouldn't want to know what would happen if China invaded the US? Mind you, this video has 15K likes, 3,000 people in the comments actively having a discourse around some shit that is meant to engagement farm. Like, this is AI slop and people are taking it serious. Trust me when I say awareness levels are at all-time lows, bro. Trying to tell you, I need to get that across. Like, awareness levels throughout the masses are at all-time lows. But what I'm trying to get across here is that your brain doesn't always know the difference between valuable information and junk data. It just knows stimulation. So when you hear an interesting point or see a flashy headline, your brain rewards you. It hits you with a bit of dopamine, and that hit feels like progress, even if you forget what you just watched 2 minutes later. I need y'all to understand this pattern clearly. Okay, your dopamine isn't broken and your brain isn't weak. You're just stuck in a loop that was designed to keep you there. And once you see it, like once you understand it, once you know your dopamine's being used against you, you can start to take it back. But that is the dark side of social media. It gives you the feeling of forward motion while keeping you stuck in place. And if you didn't realize this is why we idolize or hold these creators up to such a high level, is because they broke free from the chain. They managed to flip the logic on its head. They turned consumption into play. They have the algorithm working for them. When they open up their phone or hop on social media, they can consider it work. They're getting paid by consuming because their consumption turns into content. So how do we turn play into work? Like, Roy, what the fuck do you mean by that? What I mean by that is this. If you're constantly consuming content about politics, business, fashion, fitness, gaming, whatever it is, there's a reason you're drawn to it. There's curiosity there. There's interest. So all I need you to do is flip the switch. Become a creator in your niche you can't stop consuming. This isn't some crazy ass revelation. I'm aware of that, right? Naval Ravikant has been saying this shit for years. And here's a quote of him saying exactly that. I'm always quote unquote working. It looks like work to others, but it feels like play to me. And that's how I know no one can compete with me on it, because I'm just playing for 16 hours a day. If others want to compete with me, they're going to work, and they're going to lose because they're not going to do it for 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. Then he goes on to say, do what feels like play to you, but looks like work to others. Look, you may not even be aware that you're doing this, but you are. You're already investing hours and hours a week on screen time in the algorithm. Right now, that is considered play. All we have to do is flip our awareness switch and turn those hours into work. Instead of watching 5-hour videos about your favorite topic, challenge yourself to create one piece of content about it, a blog post, a TikTok, a video breakdown, a tweet, something that forces you to take your thoughts and shape them into something real. Or instead of mindlessly scrolling on your For You page, find something that holds your attention. Why did it hold your attention? What was that person, video subject, or discourse linked to that made you pause? Whatever it was, right? Type that into the search bar of whatever social media site you're on. Go deeper into the topic. Take notes on the subject. Connect dots. Find answers to the questions you had when you first watched that first piece of content. Now guess what? Provide those answers to others. Dan Coe, the GOAT, said it best. You need to become a dopamine dealer. You need to capture attention, hold attention, and deliver value. And to those that are scared to post online, for the less sensitive folks, you got to get over that shit. The future isn't going to reward folks that hide behind some mental illness or some mental excuse about anxiety or feeling anxious or some shit. You just have to fight through that shit and put yourself into uncomfortable situations. Bro, I have 300 subscribers. And I'm still posting this shit, bro. Like, you got to get over that feeling of doubt and fear. Now, I don't want to come off as some Andrew Tate motherfucker that says you're being a bitch, right? I do get it. Not everyone is ready for that leap and ready to put their face all over the internet. Okay, I understand that. So what I need you guys to do is at least just take some notes. If you can't take notes on a subject, then guess what? You weren't interested in it to begin with. This is how you're going to start to build momentum, because here's the truth. Nobody is going to remember the viewer. They're only going to remember the creator. And sometimes they won't even remember the creator, right? You don't have to be the best at it. You just have to be on the controller, playing the game, trying to get better. When you create, you process information on a deeper level. You learn faster. You think clearer. You build real skills. And slowly your brain starts craving the act of doing rather than just consuming. Take me, for example. I was literally sitting on my couch scrolling when I went down a Huberman rabbit hole of his talks about dopamine. So what did I do? I didn't let it go to waste. If it captured my attention, then why not make a video about it? Why not provide more value to the folks in my community, in my circle, the ones that I want to be tapped in with? Why not give them some game and condense all this information into one video like I'm trying to do here now, so that folks don't have to spend 2 hours scrolling to get little segments and bits of value, right? I just want to be able to provide that to everyone. That's the secret sauce. Turn your interest into something others can consume. With this, you can consume guilt-free because you know you are creating your own little attention tokens for others to consume. Now, I know that's not easy, and it's easier said than done, and that's the whole problem. Everything that's actually good for your mind takes effort. Boo-hoo. Got to get over that shit. Eating real food, moving your body, going outside, building something. These are the obvious things to do if you want more out of life, but they're not instantly rewarding. And they don't come with dopamine hits every 3 seconds. You've been trained since that phone was slapped in your hand by your mama to expect some kind of constant reward. Everyone's journey to reclaiming their minds is on them. But I do want to give people some kind of blanket advice on how to speed up this process. So here's a couple of things that I've done. I need you guys to clean up your feed. Start a new account if you have to. If it's not providing value, making you think, or giving you the urge to build, cut it out. Be careful with shit that makes you laugh too, right? Spending too much time on your phone, when those funny clips come up, the algorithm will keep feeding you that thing because it knows you're watching. Kai Cenat saying something crazy on his stream or in a clip is not all that thought-provoking. I need you to be very, very detailed in this and be highly disciplined, because trust me, the algorithm, it only takes a second for it to start feeding you some shit that you didn't want it to. Next thing I need y'all to do is delay your first dopamine hit. Don't touch your phone for the first hour of the day. try to go analog. Make it painful to open an app. This one is the hardest one for me. The best thing that I found doing this is setting your phone across the room or maybe even in the bathroom while you sleep at night and getting a physical alarm clock, and then go in there, brush your teeth, do your morning routine, whatever it is, and just pocket your phone and go downstairs or go wherever you are into your kitchen, whatever the hell it is, and just enjoy a cup of coffee, maybe a cup of water, some electrolytes. Just try to push you even opening your phone into as far into the morning as possible. If you can do that, you're already off to a hell of a start. Next thing I need y'all to do, which is super important and super easy, is just create while you consume. No matter how small, a journal entry, a post, a sketch, a quick note. If you're consuming a topic, consider writing about it from your own lens. This is the game breaker right here, right? Just whenever you're engaging in a topic that is providing value to you, just take notes on it, because someone else is going to want that same value at some point in their life, and you could be the one to give it to them. Next thing I need you to do is reclaim dead space. That line at the store, that 10-minute break. Don't just auto jump into the screen or your phone, right? Breathe a little bit, walk, be bored on purpose. Just stare and think sometimes. Start a convo with a stranger. Like, these are old things. These are things that almost sound cliche, but it's true. Like, just kind of live in the present moment. When you go to a concert, you know what I'm saying? And you're watching whoever it is on stage, look around you. It's a million people with their phone out, holding it up, recording a 10-minute video they're never going to rewatch. Like, bruh, put the shit down and just live a little. You feel me? Like, you're going to start to see these things where it's like, bro, what the fuck? Bro, I was in the movie Sinners and somebody was recording a video, like a full-length movie TikTok. I'm like, bro, what the fuck is... It just makes no sense. So don't be that guy or girl. Reclaim dead space. Be okay just living in the moment. And if you need a mindset to hold on to, it's this. Consumption is easy, but creation is legacy. Choose to be legendary rather than average. Take it from me, okay? With someone with less than 1,000 subs, less than 20 people on my newsletter, don't ever create expecting something. Just do it to better yourself. Researching, writing, doing everything a creator needs to do, it's gonna build you. In my opinion, it's one of the quickest cheat codes to leveling up in real life. It requires you to have so much on point that you must level up yourself to be able to create at a high level. There is little to no negatives in deciding to create. We live in a world that worships consumption. That's fine, I guess, at least for the masses. But those who win long term are the ones who build, who produce, who turn their curiosity into something real and ship it. No one's telling you to quit social media or become some kind of monk. That shit's crazy. And I don't expect you to do it because I know that I wouldn't, at least full stop. But you have to take back control of your awareness, because the brain rot doesn't come from one bad scroll session. It comes from never checking in on who you're becoming on a daily basis. You were made to do more than consume. You were made to do more than just go to work, come home, and consume somebody else's artistry. So prove it. One post, one habit, and one decision at a time. Now, I know that sounded kind of doom and gloom throughout the video, but I really wanted to hammer home the point of choosing to create more than you consume. So for this week, I'm done. I'm out of here. Subscribe to that newsletter in the description below. If you're still here, please consider like, commenting, and subscribing. Let me know some of the stories you guys have had with overconsumption and social media. And with that one, I'm out of here. I'm gonna see y'all next week.
We are living in a war of attention. I wake up in the morning and I can be a consumer or a creator. If I reach for my phone, I'm a consumer. If I go to my journal, I'm a creator. My advice to anyone who wants to be successful in any domain is to do things away from where you broadcast and then take it to that broadcast. I mean, take your real life to Instagram and be very cautious about taking Instagram to your real life.